Welcome everybody to the Global Racing League Arca Series Drunk Driver Awareness 100. We are here at the South Boston Speedway, and I tell you what, guys, this is going to be an exciting race. Last week we just came from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and this week we didn't really have too much action at Charlotte, but that's going to be completely opposite this week. Expect a lot of action, a lot of bumping, banging. It's going to be a fun race for these guys, and I tell you what, these guys are going to push these tires to the limit. So expect to see a good race from all of these drivers tonight. Also, tonight, as you can see, is dedicated to drunk driver awareness. Unfortunately, there was I do have to be the bearer of bad news. Tonight, this race is dedicated to Nolan. He is an associate of Adam Thompson. Adam Thompson is a driver in this league. I believe tonight's his debut race. He races in Global Racing League. His son's friend, who's Nolan, was tragically killed in a hit and run from a drunk driver. So we just want to spread awareness. Our condolences from the entire Global family go out to Nolan's family, and as well as Adam Thompson's family as well. Here now, I have in the booth with me Adam Thompson. Adam, can you speak on just drunk driver awareness, and how that unfortunately has shed light or affected your life?
Yeah, it's well, the other thing people don't know about me is I was a police officer for 23 years. I'm retired now, so I know all too well the dangers of drinking and driving. And 2 weeks, well, tomorrow will be 3 weeks ago that my son Cash's best friend Nolan was leaving his basketball game with his father, and they were hit by a drunk driver. And unfortunately, Nolan lost his battle trying to fight a brain injury in the hospital. He was in the hospital for a week fighting, and just couldn't pull through. And his dad walked away, which is great. But as a father, I can't imagine what Aaron's going through and what his wife Ashley are going through. So, yeah, guys. I mean, especially this day and age, man, you can get an Uber so easy. So no drink and drive. And I just want to give a shout out to Nolan and his family, and just send them lots of love and prayers. And I appreciate you guys bringing it up and hosting the race. So thank you.
Yes, Adam. Thank you, and thank you for your service, Adam. We appreciate that, and our condolences go out to both of your family and Nolan's family as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing up the topic. It's a tough one to talk about, but sometimes we got to talk about the tough stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will now put you back, and good luck in tonight's race.
10-4, thanks.
All right, guys. As we alluded to earlier, please, when you do drink responsibly. You're not only affecting your life, but you're affecting other people's lives as well. So, with that being said, please think about that. And with that being said, we will now get back to the race as we have these guys griding up. So as you can see now, these drivers are honoring Nolan with the slow Nolan Strong. We're leaving that P1 position open in honorance of Nolan. So from the global family, we are all with you, Nolan, and our deepest condolences go out to your family. All right, so looking forward, we have Chad McGinley with pole, Bobby Mantle, and Josh Kirsch, top three, followed by Tyler Honeycutt, Adam Thompson, and Donnie Honeycutt, followed by Tanner Costa, Dwayne Honeycutt, and Mark Shear would make it to the top 10. And as these guys go green, we have trouble already with Bobby Mantle in the wall and a huge pile up. But it looks like we're going to keep green here And I'll tell you what, Bobby Mantle was not expecting that from the beginning, and he has huge damage on his right front, and oh my goodness, his right rear is crinkled in. And now Bobby Mantle is already racing with a huge setback, and let's see how he's able to overcome that. And Chad McGinley and Josh Kirsch were able to avoid that and get out to a huge lead, followed by Adam Thompson in that 71 car. And I'll tell you who's been really strong last week, Tanner Coster. And let's see, I feel like he'll have a good race today, and he'll be able to put on a great show. I apologize for that, guys. Looks like yellow flag is out. Dwayne Honeycutt looks to be the culprit of the caution. And yep, I'll tell you what about this track, guys. That turn 4 is notorious, guys. That turn 4 will bring out. That turn 4 is so slick coming off that corner. And I hate to see Donnie Honeycutt being that first caution. But that gives these guys a chance to stack it back up. And I can imagine Bobby Mantle, as you can see, will be going down pit road to get some of that heavy damage repaired. But luckily, this is not an aero-dependent track, and he will be able to get that repaired as well. It looks like Tyler Honeycutt had some damage as well on that restart. And let's take a look at that restart. That restart was completely insane. Looks like Josh Kirsch just got into Bobby and then completely sent him into the inside wall. And that's the thing with the restarts, is you want to make sure you're being extremely careful on these restarts. And it looks like Josh Kirsch just accidentally ran Bobby over. And yeah, he just went way too early, or it looks like Bobby barely even went. And it's kind of hard to put that one on Josh Kirsch if Bobby just doesn't go. So yeah, it doesn't look like Bobby went, unfortunately. But looks like Bobby was able to get some of that damage repaired. But I can imagine that he'll still have to go down pit road and fix some more of that damage. All right, we're going to stack them back up again, guys. We're going to go green flag this lap as the lights on the pace car are out. Chad McGinley, your leader, followed by Josh Kirsch and the 71 of Adam Thompson make up your top 3 as we go green here. And green flag is out. Much better start this time. And Chad McGinley will not have that huge advantage going off into turn 2. And one thing about this track, guys, is this track changes throughout the race. Your tires you run out of tire wear super fast. The car gets tight, and it just feels like the car's just going to snap loose on every run. And so these guys, probably in 20 laps, will be screaming for fresh tires. Another driver still in the pits is Tyler Honeycutt. Unfortunately, he might have had a blown engine, and that is our points leader. And I just hate to see it. Hopefully he can get back out there and get some points. He's been down on pit road for almost 5 minutes now, and hopefully he can recover. as Chad McGinley, your race leader, continues to stay out front and shine, followed by Josh Kurse in second and Tanner Coster in third. Tell you what, Adam Thompson in his debuted race is in P4, already up 2 positions. I'll tell you another guy who's making up huge ground is started 10th. Mark Sherwood is already up to 5th place, and he's looking to have a great race. He actually, believe it or not, he just got signed into trucks, and so he will be racing on Hypershift's team coming in February. So you expect to see a lot of Mark Sherwood in the near future. And it looks like JJ McCoy is up to P7, already up 7 spots. And so I tell you what, JJ had a really good race last week. Expect him to make his way throughout the field. And there is a huge battle right now. Josh Kirsch is not giving Chad McGinley any slack, and these guys are racing. And I can only imagine that if one thing is when you have someone on your bumper like that, you kind of start to drive with your eyes on that rear view mirror, and hopefully Chad is able to keep a consistent line. But Josh Kurse is closing the gap in on Chad McGinley, and so we'll see how that goes on a long run. Bobby Mantle sitting P16, and we'll see what he's able to do, but I can imagine that his chassis is already messed up. And ooh, Alexander Cohen super loose coming off turn 4. As you're looking at Chase Albright make the pass on Dwayne Honeycutt, but he's not able to hold it. And Dwayne Honeycutt's gonna go away on that high line. Another odd driver to see in the back of the pack, Michael Hayes, is sitting back in P13 next to Ron Harrington. As a huge pack is racing up here. And all these guys are racing super hard as Michael Hayes on the inside of Ron Harrington is able to make that pass and come away with a good drive off turn 4. Another driver, Carlos Enriquez, looking on the inside of the 46er Bradley Minor. And is he able to make that pass? And I'll tell you what, guys, after a certain while, it becomes increasingly hard to pass on that bottom line as these tires wear. As you're looking at that now, it doesn't look like Carlos Enriquez is able to make that pass and checks up Danny White. Danny White is not going to be patient here as you see these guys starting to stack up. And Michael Hayes is getting to the outside. And will he be able to make it work? These guys are battling hard right now. And still, your top 2, Chad McGinley and Josh Kirsch, followed by Tanner Coster. And Adam Thompson. I like to see this. These guys are racing super hard up front. Looking at Donnie Honeycutt. he's putting together a decent race, sitting at P6 right now. And I'll tell you what, it's one thing about these Honeycutts is they live for short tracks. And finally, after a 7-minute pit stop, Tyler Honeycutt is back on the track. And hopefully he's able to manage. Hopefully he's able to get some points race. And as we have a caution, it looks like, oh no, Carlos. Was that it? Yes, Carlos just got loose and it spun it by himself coming off of turn 4. Oh my goodness. Nice way to recover with only slight damage on his rear. And let's see what happened here. Looks like Danny White may have also spun around as well. Oh no, he did not. Alright, and now as we see, Bobby Mansell going down pit road to get some of that damage repaired, as you can imagine. And that's good. That's what I want to see with Bobby Mansell. Get some of that damage repaired, make your car more manageable, and get out there and race hard. And he's going to get out right before he goes a lap down. We also have Michael Hayes inside pit road as well. Oh, and one thing about Michael Hayes is he's barely on that last pit stall where he has to go on the other side. And so we'll see what that does for him. And we'll hope he doesn't get put a lap down. But I'll tell you what, the race between these two guys, Chad McGinley, Josh Kurse, has been phenomenal. These guys have been racing bumper to bumper the whole time. And at some point, the gloves got to come off. And these guys got to race each other. Expect these guys to race each other super hard. And as we go green here, Chad McGinley off to a huge lead. As these drivers are double foul behind. And it's going to take a while for these guys to get spread out. But as you notice, these guys are not going down pit road. Not too many of them, because track position is just that important. And I'll tell you what, just having that clean air for Chad McGinley is just paying dividends. As you see here, Tanner Coster is a three-car battle for that second place position. Let's see if they're able to catch each other as these cars are starting to single file out. Tough racing here in the back of the pack as the 40s, I believe that's the 49 is looking to the inside of the 46 and able to make that pass. And oh, Carlos Enriquez almost gets into the 17 of Wayne Honeycutt. And Michael Hayes getting very loose coming off. Oh, and these guys need to settle in. And these guys are racing very hard. And we'll see what happens. And I'll tell you what, being Carlos Enriquez and Dwayne Honeycutt, you just really wanna you start to look in your rearview mirror when you have Bobby Mantle and Michael Hayes, two phenomenal drivers racing in your rear view as they're looking on the outside of making that pass. And Carlos is continuing to get to struggle coming out of turn 4. As we have a battle for third brewing here with the 71 of Adam Thompson under fire from the 97 of Tanner Coster. Looks like Adam's able to make that move, and with the huge run coming from that 97 of Tanner, not able to make anything happen going into turn 3. But will he make something happen going in? He's gonna peak. He's gonna peak. Will he send it in there? It looks like Adam's gonna give him some space, but he's not gonna get that runoff coming off turn 2. And I'll tell you what, these guys are racing very hard back here. As we're looking at that 49 of Chase Albright, and it looks like they're wrecking. They're wrecking. Oh no. And that's gonna bring out the caution. And it looks like just the 98 just barely tapped. The 98 of Alexander Cohen barely tapped Ron Harrington going into turn 3, and that's what you don't want to do. These cars are just so delicate going into these turns, and you really just want to make sure that you keep it completely slowed down. As you can just see, barely tapped him, but you nicked him in that right quarter panel, and that's going to send him around every single time. Good job by the rest of the drivers who are able to navigate out of that. And let's ride along with Michael Hayes on that incident. As it looks like, or actually, let's go live. As it looks like we have a lot of drivers heading down pit road. And we'll see who will come off. I'll tell you what, guys. Let's see what that's going to do. The top 5 have elected to stay out on their old set of tires, while the rest of the field has fresh sets of tires. We'll see how that handles. I can imagine that these guys are going to get ran over now. And guess who's sitting P6? Michael Hayes, our biggest mover of the night by so far, with 11 spots up to P6. And one thing about Michael is he's always going to make his way up to the front. That's what distinguishes him against all the rest of the drivers. And that's how you know he's a very good driver. Is you can start in the back, but you can make your way. Can you make your way up to the front? And I'd like to see what Michael Hayes is able to do here now that he's starting P6 on that outside line. But we know how restarts have been here, so we will see how it goes as these drivers come to the green flag. Chad McGinley with a good run going in, but he's going to lose all that momentum. And the 35 of Josh Kirsch with a huge run on the outside. And drives it in there a little bit too deep, but he's able to make it stick. and it's starting to. And as you see, that grip is starting to go away on that bottom line, and that outside line is starting to become the preferred groove. And Josh Kirsch is your new race leader. And I'll tell you what, Josh Kirsch has been putting on a phenomenal race. He had a little bit of trouble first week at Daytona, where he got involved in a couple accidents, but he's been locked in ever since. And these guys are racing really hard. Double foul from fourth place on back. And that's one thing you like about these short tracks is you're gonna get a lot of good racing. Michael Hayes already up to P4. Josh Kirsch already up. He started P14, already up to second place. Or JJ McCoy, I'm sorry. And he has been carving up through the field in that Budweiser 7 car. And he is looking phenomenal. But the top 3 are yet to pit. And Michael Hayes, Donnie Honey. Oh, we have a huge caution on that. It is a parking lot out there on turn 2. And oh my goodness. Let's take a look at that. What happened here? And it looks like the 64 of Danny White just gets loose. And just causes a huge checkup. And that's what happens. You don't want to drive it in. And then, oh, looks like Donnie Honeycutt gets into two incidents at the same time. Looks like Donnie Honeycutt just gets into Michael Hayes' quarter panel. Kind of how we saw earlier with Ron Harrington and Alexander Cohen. And then it just makes a huge pile up for everyone else. And it's just hard to see that as a driver, as you see. As you see Mark Sherwood just trying to get out, and unfortunately he's just not able to get out the way. And that's what you hate to see. And I can just imagine a lot of the drivers. Let's ride along with Tyler Honeycutt. As you can see, he's getting it slowed up. And a good job by Tyler. Let's ride along with Alexander Cohen now. This was a huge accident, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, good job. And oh, I'll tell you what, guys, in a short track like this, it's very hard. It's very hard to get your car slowed up in time. And that's the risk you run going in, taking a green flag, taking a pit stop and losing track position is relatively, when you're racing in the front, you are in that you're kind of almost, whether you're in the front or the back, you're usually going to avoid cautions that way. And just that middle of the pack is just the most dangerous part of the track, because if there's an incident, you might get checked up, but the person behind you might. And so that's just the case that we see, or you might not be able to check up in time. But we are about to go green here, guys. We are on lap 70 out of 150. Josh Kirsch with a huge run on that inside, and he's gonna hold it. And we'll see how these guys are doing. These guys are racing hard. A huge battle going on between JJ and Carlos. And I'll tell you who's battled back. And oh, JJ drives a little bit too hard and gets loose on the entry. Able to save it. And oh, they're wrecking again. Donnie Honeycutt. Yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is out again. And it looks like, oh, it's just a huge incident here. And I'll tell you what, guys, a huge wreck here. And it looks like just a little bit of net code between that 97 car of Tanner Coster. Doesn't look like he really made too much contact, and it just got him spent around. And we'll see how that affected Mark Sherwood. And oh, Bobby Mantle didn't see the wreck in time and just completely annihilates Mark Sherwood. As we're looking at Bobby Mantle, and yeah, he just doesn't see it in time. And I'll tell you what, it's been a tough race for Bobby. From as soon as the green flag dropped, it's just been a tough race. And I got a feel for him, but unfortunately, that's how it is, guys. Racing here at such a track like this, the smallest type of bump, especially with these Arca cars, are just gonna have the most severe consequences with handling. And we're seeing that here with these guys bumping. The trucks and Xfinity cars and the Cup cars, you can bump. But unfortunately, with this model of the Arca cars, the slightest bump will send these things around. As we see that here tonight, and a lot of these drivers have been paying the consequence. And so now it's just looking like the battle of the cleanest cars. Do you really want to go down pit road and go through the onslaught? Because I can tell you what, Carlos, he's made a huge bounce back from wrecking earlier on turn 4, and now he's sitting P2 in that preferred outside line. If he can get a good jump on Josh, he can be your potential new race leader. And so good on him. I know he's been putting in a lot of practice. I practiced with him earlier throughout the week, and so I tell you what, this guy, Carlos, is a very eager driver and a very willing driver to learn. And he's been teamed up with Tyler Honeycutt, and hopefully he can make Tyler Honeycutt, as we take green, as Carlos gets off to a really bad start. Josh is going to jump out to the lead as he's being challenged by that number 7 car, JJ McCoy. And Josh gets Carlos is very loose, and he's gonna check up the whole field behind him, and he's just been falling back throughout the pack. Hopefully he can get it underway. And I'll tell you what, Chad McGinley's starting to make his way through the pack. He still hasn't pitted, but yet, oh, another caution is out. The 64. Again, it has just been an onslaught. And as you see, another caution. Another caution, and just the slightest tap. It doesn't even look like Carlos really even tried to check up too much. It really doesn't look like he tried to make too much contact with them, but just the smallest contact there was able to send Danny White all the way around. And Tanner Coster was able to get checked up there, but the small contact, but it shouldn't really be too much any harm, no foul there. As Ron Harrington will be your lucky dog, as he's going to get his wave around in that Best Buy Monster Wraps paint scheme. And I'll tell you what, I know Carlos Henriquez is looking for a better start this race, or better restart this time around, after he fell back four spots after that last restart. And I'll tell you what, Chad McGinley is already back to P4, and he's on fresh tires. The top 2 drivers, Josh Kirsch and JJ McCoy, have not pit yet, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Chad McGinley. If Chad McGinley is able to get to their bumpers, Chad McGinley will catch them. As we have Michael Hayes and Dwayne Honeycutt sitting along pit road. Both have been there for longer than a minute. I just wanted to make sure this was nothing. Hopefully no contact came out of this. And he's just letting guys by. No harm, no foul. Alright guys, we are getting ready to go green this time around. These drivers have been racing each other extremely hard. And there's been, ever since that first caution, or the second caution I should say, there has been no give and all take. And now it's looking like a survival of the fittest race. As we're on lap 18, or we're on lap 88. And one to look out for right now is Mr. Chad McGinley. And we'll see how he's able to navigate around Carlos Henriquez. And he's starting to peek to the inside. Oh, big wiggle out of Adam Thompson. He's under fire from that 97 car of Tanner Coster. Tanner Coster, after a huge incident earlier, is able to battle back. Another big mover in tonight's race is John Howard, currently sitting P5. He needs a good points day. He's in search of a good points day, so hopefully he can come away with a good finish. I'll tell you what, I am super impressed from Carlos Henriquez. After that initial caution that he brought out coming out of turn 4, he has been locked in. And he is giving JJ McCoy pure fire right now as he's at his rear bumper. And oh, big wiggle, and there's a caution again. The 97 of Tanner, oh my goodness, and he's flipping at South Boston Speedway. I never thought we were going to see a flip here. And it looks like that checkup from Chad McGinley was able to do it. And that wiggle, there just looks like, yep, it stacked up a little bit, and unfortunately, oh my goodness, he was flipping. John Howard a part of that as well, along with Chase Albright. And I'll tell you what, these guys do such a good job of racing. And just unfortunately, these guys just wasn't able to keep it there. Right along with Bobby Mansell on this. Good job there from Bobby Mansell to get it load up, keep that outside line. And it's been a complete rough race for Tanner Coster. And and I can just only imagine what Tanner's thinking. He's gonna have to take an ice bath after tonight's race with all the beating and banging he's been enduring in tonight's race. But still, your race leader, and I can imagine he's probably just not going to come to the pits at all, given all the carnage that has been going on in the back with Josh Kirsch and JJ McCoy, who are still yet to pit, but are doing a phenomenal job of keeping race pace, as now Chad McGinley is sitting P2. As we go green flag, Josh Kirsch with a really good run on that restart. And now it's Chad McGinley's time to shine. He's on the freshest tires of the top three. As we're looking, P4, Alexander Cohen, who has made a huge improvement in tonight's race. And oh, the 71 has to check up of Adam Thompson, almost getting into Alexander Cohen's rear bumper, and they're wrecking again. And John Howard involved in yet another caution. And oh my goodness gracious. Let's take a look at that again. And yet Bobby Mansell just gets in his rear bumper and just sends him around. And these cars just cannot take any punishment. And yet another caution. Will these drivers get their nerves calm? And that's the one thing about it, is these trucks, a lot of these drivers are used to these trucks at short tracks, and usually with these trucks you can bump a car and send them up out of this groove and get that old school racing, which they call the bump and run. But with this generation of Arca cars, you unfortunately can't do that. But in other news regarding Arca, iRacing is allegedly supposed to be adding the new generation of Arca cars, and we'll see how that plays out. That should be very interesting for the rest of these drivers, because I can only imagine if we do get the new series of Arca cars, we'll switch to that regardless if it's mid-season in the Global Racing League. Complete chaos tonight, but it's been very entertaining from last week. Complete green racing last week at Charlotte, and to a complete chaos. Very exciting race, but these drivers have taken off the gloves and the patience has thinned out, and these drivers are going for glory now. As we are about to go back green, Josh Kirsch, JJ McCoy, and Chad McGinley, Alexander Cohen, and Adam Thompson is your top five. And we are back green on lap 109. And I can only imagine that Chad McGinley, and they're wrecking again. the carnage continues. Ron Harrington around. And let's take a look at it. And I'll tell you what, Ron Harrington has been going through it completely. I think that's the second time actually getting knocked in the rear and getting spun around. So our sincere apologies go out to Ron Harrington. He's going to be another driver who's going to need an ice bath after this race. Goodness gracious. Just like Mark Sherwood, if I'm not mistaken, but a 64 Danny White accidentally just gets into him, but he does a good job of to avoid. The other cars do a good job of just to avoid Ron Harrington. And I can only imagine, as we take a look at Donnie Honeycutt back on pit road, that there's going to be a little bit of rivalries after this race. And these drivers are not going to be too happy with each other. But that is racing. And it is completely survival of the fittest now. And Alexander Cohen is at P3, looking to have a great finish here. And I'll tell you what, once you get to that top 5, the grass is greener on the other side up front, where you can actually focus on racing. But anything from P5 on back, you really have to just wish the best of luck to yourself. As we go green again, huge stack up on the inside line from the 3rd row back. Chad McGinley able to snag away P3 for the moment. He's in that preferred lane on the hot side, battling with Alexander Cohen, and it looks like Alexander Cohen's going to concede defeat. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Chad McGinley, I'm getting on that gas and I'm going. And another caution, Danny White around, and these guys, John Howard. And let's take another look at what happened. And again, Bobby Mantle involved in that as well. And just again, drivers are just making contact with other drivers going into turns, and then it's just not panning out well. I'll tell you who's going to be busy after these races is the league admins, because there's going to be drivers very unhappy with each other. But that's short track racing. If you're not making someone upset, then you're not racing hard enough. At least that's my model. Temper Slayer short tracks, and so these guys are probably had it with each other. As you can see, Danny White and John Howard on pit road, and hopefully they can get their enough of that damage repaired before they go a lap down, and they will come out of pit road now to avoid going a lap down. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Josh Kirsch and Josh McCoy, the two Joshes, I'm not going down pit road. I'm saying forgive that. I've stayed on race pace this long. I'm not doing it. I'm staying out because to go back there is almost like a death sentence right now. And surprisingly, I thought Chad McGinley, who's went down on lap 50, on lap 66, would be able to kind of run these guys down, but he surprisingly he has not been able to, and it's just been increasingly hard. So I don't know if he took tires when he went down last time, or if he just took fuel only. But I just can't imagine that he wouldn't take tires going down pit road. One thing about this track is the more rubber gets laid down, it gets extremely hard to pass here. So I guess he's struggling in that. But we are going to go green. Josh Kurtz with another phenomenal restart. As JJ McCoy looked on the inside. This race has been filled with drama, action, and all of the above. And these guys make it, oh, they're wrecking again as Danny White. Oh no. Or is that Bradley Minor? Looks like Bradley Minor was the victim of this crash. Let's take a look at this one. What happened here? And yet again, the fender bender takes another culprit, Bradley Minor. And I'll tell you what, it's one of those scenarios where you're the 71 of Adam Thompson, and you just see him sliding up in front of you, and it's just nothing you can do. You're gonna keep flooring it. If you check up, you're gonna get ran over yourself. So there was just nothing he could do. And this is not a track where you can really slide job someone, because most 9 times out of 10 they're not gonna check up for you. And that momentum from the hot side, you just gotta know you're gonna get that huge run, as you saw Adam Thompson did there, and it's just he just couldn't check up. So if you check up, you're gonna be a victim yourself. And that's just one of those unfortunate wrecks. And I think that was one of the first actual racing incidents I've seen all day that wasn't careless. These drivers, I'll tell you what, guys, it's an 8-week season. And these drivers are all fighting to get into that playoff spot and to be that Arca Series champion. And we're coming down to the end of the race here, guys. And who's just been dominating after he taken the lead? Josh Kirsch. That's just been dominant, and I think if I'm Josh McCoy, I need to make something happen. I need to get up there. I need to get around Josh Kirsch. And we'll see how that will go. Let's take a look at the split strategy between the top 8. These guys are on 127 lap old tires, the top 2. As we get ready to go green here. Green, 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 and Josh Kurtz with another good inside start. Alexander Cohen back to P3 as a huge stack up going in. They're wrecking again. Mark Sherwood. It looks like they'll stay green somehow, and they're wrecking again. A huge wreck. Chad McGinley is also involved. Oh no! He's been keeping his car so clean all race. And that's going to have catastrophic damage for him. Oh my goodness. And the caution's going to wave. this time around. Goodness gracious. And let's go take a look at that. And goodness gracious. Mamma mia. These guys. Again, oh, looks like Carlos got into him and just snagged his bumper. But as you take a look as well, it just looks like the 71 just of Adam Thompson drove it in there too hard as well. As we'll ride along here, we'll ride along with Tanner Coster, and good job from him just to check up. Phenomenal way to avoid that wreck from Tanner Coster. And it's been rough, guys. It has been rough. The racing has been brutal. These guys are going to have a few words for each other after this race, I'll tell you what. I get Daytona at super speedways, you'll see alliances made. Short tracks, you will see enemies formed. As the gloves have came off already, these guys have been racing hard. It looks like the top two probably are the only two cars that have a clean race car here. And like I said, I can imagine these guys are not going to go down pit road for the entirety of the race as we go green with 15 laps to go. And they're wrecking again. Tyler Honeycutt into the wall. And let's take a look what happened there with Tyler. Unfortunately, he's just been going through it as well. Add him to the list of another driver who's going to be, oh, he just overdrives it right in the front of Ron Harrington. And there was just nothing Ron could do. Ron was just doing everything he can do. And unfortunately, Ron was able to come out of that kind of like the lucky dog out of that. He was able to get turned right back around. Adam Thompson looked like he got involved in that as well. And huge damage. Oh man. Got him right. Looks like he hit the barrier, and unfortunately that's probably going to have very heavy damage to his car. Let's take a look at the pit stop strategy. Top two are still yet to pit and will probably not pit at all as they stack them back up. go green. Josh Kirsch, a really good start with 9 laps to go. And it looks like Josh Kirsch is going down pit road. For some reason, he might have got a penalty. And that has changed everything. Absolutely everything. As these guys are racing hard, a huge race, and another caution, another driver around, Adam Thompson. Oh my goodness, Adam Thompson's probably going to need to go to a chiropractor after this race, ladies and gentlemen. After all the beating and banging he's done and endured. Let's see what happened there. And he just drives it in a little bit too hard, and just unfortunately right in front of Ron Harrington, and just Ron Harrington is just another victim out of that. And I'll tell you what, the more you wear these tires down, the easier you have to be on your brakes. And I'm surprised a lot of drivers are. It doesn't seem like a lot of drivers are making too much of a brake bias adjustment to kind of compensate the the looseness of on entry of these cars. Because typically with these short tracks, you want to kind of keep playing with that brake bias as you go into the race. You probably bump it up a little bit on these longer runs because your car starts to get very, very loose. And now that's changed the dynamic of everything. Two of our biggest movers of the day, JJ McCoy and Carlos Enriquez, are sitting P1 and P2, followed by Alexander Cohen. And I tell you what, I don't know what happened. There with Josh Kirsch, but unfortunately it looks like his race has just been ruined. As we are on that 1 to green, 3 laps to go. Again, guys, in this league, we only have 1 green-white checkered, but it looks like this is going to be an unofficial green-white checkered here. And it's going to be a shootout. And I am excited to see how this race is going to end. Will these drivers be able to make the white flag? 2 laps to go. JJ McCoy on the inside. Huge battle. Carlos Enriquez is going to keep that second place spot. These drivers are going to take the white flag. And the 3 wide back there, and they're wrecking. They're wrecking the 97 around. Tanner Coster, huge pile up. And Josh McCoy to come in first and take the checkered flag, followed by Carlos Enriquez, P3, and followed by Alexander Cohen in P3, Bobby Mantle, P4, and Danny White make up your top 5. Let's take a look at that last. Oh shit, man, these guys were racing hard. They put it all out there, bumping and banging for that 3 wide, and unfortunately, it just turned into a parking lot back there. A lot of guys still spinning, so you can see that last lap, man. These guys are going for glory, man. So definitely, as we take a live look at Josh McCoy, who's been floating around the top 3 all day, and I can imagine he's gonna burn it up here. And a nice burnout from Josh McCoy. Great race. He was bubbling around in that top three all day. Made a phenomenal decision by not taking tires there, and it paid dividends for him. And he is tonight's winner of the Drunk Driver Awareness 100. Phenomenal job to him. As we're gonna take a look at our racing order, and then we're gonna get followed by driver interviews. So let's take a look. So in first place, we have JJ McCoy, tonight's winner, followed by second place, Carlos Enriquez. Third place, Alexander Cohen. Fourth place, huge comeback, Bobby Mantle. Fifth place, Danny White, who also has had a phenomenal comeback. Sixth place, Donnie Honeycutt. Seventh place, Michael Hayes. Eighth place, Bradley Miner. Ninth place, Ron Harrington. 10th, Chase Albright. 11th, unfortunately, Chad McGinley, who's got involved in that late caution. 12th place, Tanner Coster. 13th place, unfortunately, our driver who's led the most laps tonight, Josh Kirsch. 11th place, Adam Thompson. 15th place, Mark Sherwood. 16th place, John Howard. 17th place, Dwayne Honeycutt. 18th place, Tyler Honeycutt, who just finished just 20 laps down, who could just never really recover from that beginning caution here. And that will do it for the rest of the field. We are going to get to our interviews as we are going to go for Alexander Cohen. So I am here with our P3 finisher, Alexander Cohen. What a race, or what a survival race. How was it out there tonight, and how were you able to come away with that P3 finish?
Um, it seemed like a little mess out there. I mean, I don't think there was not one person that almost like everyone in that field at least had to spin out at least one time, I would imagine. I mean, it was it was very, very wild out there. That's all I can say. I mean, I guess just surviving the wrecks as best you could and avoiding them and not falling back farther. Because if you got involved in one of those wrecks, you were going towards the end of the field. I found that out very early.
Yeah, and so kind of what was your game plan for tonight?
Um, not not spinning out was the big thing. That was the game plan. And
Y-
then halfway through the race, just finding out that the outside line on restarts was the place to be,
Yeah,
and just kept on
yeah,
working the way up.
yes, sir. So believe it or not, like you did have a small spin out in the beginning of the race, but you were able to recover from that and somehow make a P3 finish. So congratulations on that. Is there anyone that you want to shout out?
Uh, Bobby Mantle for just being a good coach. I mean, he's been really, really good. I mean, he helps with anything he can. He'll get on anytime he can if you need him to and help you out. I've been asking him tons of questions each practice, each race, and he's just a big help. I'll give a shout out to McCoy for getting that win there. I mean, that was nice. I don't think he pitted at all that whole race, and that
He
was the
did
way to
not.
go.
He did not.
So,
So yes, so we're going to be at another short track next week. We're going to be at Bristol Motor Speedway. How are you going to use next week to prepare?
um, I'm gonna get some earlier practice time in, hopefully, and probably ask Bobby a bunch of questions again, like
Yes,
always. But
sir.
that's what Bobby's good at. I mean, he's a really good coach, so credit to him.
Yes, sir. And so we have Christmas coming up in a couple in a few days. How do you plan to spend your Christmas holiday?
Just gonna spend it with the family and try to enjoy every moment as I can. Fortunately, no white Christmas, but it be that way sometime.
Yes, sir. Alexander Cohen, the 98 car, still a free agent driver who's looking to get signed in our truck series. Very, very strong finish from you tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week at Bristol Motor Speedway. You have yourself a nice night and enjoy your holidays.
Yep, thank you. You too.
Next, we are going to be followed by our P2 finisher, Carlos Henriquez. Carlos, this is Josh Slade in the booth. Do you have a copy? Carlos, this
Sorry
is
about that.
Carlos. This is Josh Slade in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So please walk me through. You had a early self spin in the beginning of the race. How were you able to manage and come back and gain 16 positions from the start of the race to the finish? What was your game plan going into tonight?
Honestly, it was just survive, 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 and God, I'm rewatching this replay, trying to see what I could have done better. It's a bittersweet moment. But you know what else is bitter and sweet? Sour Patch Kids. Oh
Yeah,
man, I don't know how to feel. I knew I had fresher tires, so I was like, maybe I go on the outside, try to jump the start, or not jump, but you know what I mean, like try to get the jump on him, and I'm shaking, shaking, man.
yes, a very dominant race from you. So you were racing with um Chad McGinley for most of the race. Kind of walk me through like what was going on there with you and Chad McGinley, and how are y'all able to battle it out, and you were able to come out kind of to beat that battle. So walk me through that.
Um, I mean, oh man, I'm sorry, my dad called me for a second, but can you repeat everything again? I'm so sorry, my dad had to call me.
Oh no, no worries. Yeah, sometimes family will interrupt you during the driver interview, but yeah. So once you were able to get to top three, and you were battling with Chad McGinley for that P3 spot. Do you feel like you could have done anything better to kind of catch up with Josh Kurse and Josh McCoy?
Oh, first off, I wanted to apologize to Jam again. There was just, it was, I think it was the middle of turn 3 and 4. I'm not sure if he checked up or something. I'm over here trying to, run in the outside lane. I hate it. I did not mean to spin him out. Like, I hate that as a driver because that's the last thing I want, trying to move for position. And then after that whole fiasco, I was like, okay, I got fresher tires. I'm pretty sure the rest of the pack in the behind us is probably going to do something because nobody kind of wants to be in the back. You kind of got to treat short tracks like a plate race. Got to kind of unexpected. Then I heard that Josh had a penalty, so I'm like, okay, I have a shot. Then I played Spotify under these races, so I'm like, okay, let me put "Kickstart My Heart," the cover by Great White. So yeah, I had that, and I gave it my best shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I believe this is your best finish of the season so far, P2. So great. Each week you've been getting closer and closer, and you've been making tremendous progress. Recent news, you've also got signed into the truck team. So can you like kind of tell me about how your week has been going, and how everything's just been going so good for you?
Man, I just took my math final today, and I passed it. I thought I failed it. Nope, got an 83, passed that class.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm coming up with high hopes, and earlier this week, me and Tyler Honeycutt were, in talks. He's like, "Hey, you want to come, race for our team?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, man! Like, I like this is legit. I might as well." So my week's been up and down, but I think today was definitely the highlight, and then next, it's Christmas, right? So many new opportunities. I'm having family come over I haven't seen in a minute. Good, it's a good vibe, and good thing is that I'm getting to have the lovely cooking of my mother, penir, gandules, everything. Oh, the best thing in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Always holidays bring the best cooking and the best food. Um, I spoke to Tyler Honeycutt earlier this week, and he's been raving about you all this week. And he's very excited to work with you, and he's very excited to see your transition into the trucks come February. So, so yeah, I tip my hat off to you. I look forward to racing with you in the trucks. Is there anyone that you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Tyler. I just want to say thank you again for at least believing in me. It's been a rough minute on iRacing, trying to do rod car and try messing up there. And I'm like, let me take a step back and let me try this Arca League. And I also want to shout out my dad for being patient because I'm in his studio right now. His music studio that we share this attic thing, and I appreciate him at least giving me a minute to at least run this race tonight, and wouldn't do it without my poppy. So I just want to shout him out as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're gonna be at Bristol Motor Speedway next week. How are you gonna be able to prepare for that race? What's the game plan going in?
I'm gonna come back strong. Bristol and these cars for me are it's just one of my strong suits. You know, as bittersweet as second was, I'm gonna give it my best. I see myself in victory lane hopefully next week. I am hoping so. I'm gonna do everything I can to at least better myself at Bristol because Bristol and I are like peanut butter and jelly. They go great unless you're allergic. Then I'm sorry.
Okay, big statement from Carlos Henriquez. He sees himself next week in victory lane. So will he be able to keep it up? We'll see and we'll find out. Very big statement where he's done put the league on notice and the rest of the drivers on notice. So we'll see how that carries over for next week. Carlos, I appreciate having you in the booth here. Congratulations on the P2 finish tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Hey man, same to you, man. Thank you again.
And now we have our race winner, the guy who did not go down pit road, who made one of the best decisions all night to not get caught up in the chaos. We have Josh McCoy. Josh Slade in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy on you, brother.
Hey, man, crazy race. How were you able to keep the race pace the whole entire race on those old 150 lap tires? What was your kind of game plan for the race?
Man, honestly, when we started rolling, I wasn't too sure, and then kept getting some cautions. I kept moving up, and I stayed patient. I didn't have to push the car too hard till the end there, and I went back and forth on whether I should take tires or not, and we got to about halfway, and that was when I made the decision that I was like, I'm gonna stick with them. So Uh, so I know Chase Pitt is somewhere around there. I got some info on his tires, so that helped me out just a little bit.
Yes. Unfortunately, yeah. Fortunately, you were able to keep the race pace. Look like your, if I'm not mistaken, Chad McGinley's your Truck Series teammate, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Yes, he unfortunately he took tires and unfortunately he got caught up in one of those wrecks. But it looks like you made the right decision, and especially with what happened to Josh Kirsch. I don't know if you can shed some light, but we're not too sure on what happened to Josh Kirsch. I believe he got a penalty, and then that kind of just opened up everything for you.
Yeah, so we were coming to the start there, and last couple of starts, he had a good jump on me right off the get, but coming outside of turn one, I was able to get real close to him. So I think that was in the back of his mind, and then for that last restart there, he had slid up the track, so I think he was feeling the pressure being applied. So I had the older tires, but man, car was still real fast. I was really impressed.
Yeah, congrats there, because you and Josh Kirsch were pretty much racing right behind each other for most of the race. But like, kind of, what was going through your head there? Were you just kind of just being conservative there? Were you taking the conservative approach there, or was the car kind of struggling or getting tight or loose there?
No, man, car was perfect. I was just I figured I was keeping pace easy enough that I wouldn't burn them up, and I'd make my last push when I really needed to. And it's you overdrive your car, you lose a lot of speed. So that thing was still running just as good as lap one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, phenomenal race tonight. As well, I want to allude to that you are also another one of the drivers that were recently signed out of the Arca League who will be racing in the Truck Series come February. What will you be able to kind of take from these cars going into the Truck Series?
Well, the trucks, I think they handle a little bit similar. I think they're a little bit less on power, but um, running around the ARCA cars, I think it really gives you a real good life lesson on how to keep your equipment good and keep your tires fresh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's one thing about it's one thing what they say about these Arca cars. If you can drive an Arca car, you can drive any car. So that's a good stepping stone or foundation for any driver. Um, so phenomenal race tonight, Josh, and I believe this is your first win. Um, Congratulations. Is there anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, to give Chad McGinley, Bobby Mantle, Alexander Count, all those guys there. We practiced together and brainstormed what we wanted to do for the race. So huge credit for them to steer me in the right direction and bring her home to victory lane.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You did a phenomenal job of racing tonight, and I tell you, this is not an easy track to win at or to survive at. So you were able to do both and come away unscathed with no damage. We will be at Bristol next week, Bristol Motor Speedway. How do you plan to prepare for next week?
Man, I'm gonna get some seat time there. And actually, I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, so kind of one of my favorite tracks, so home state track.
Uh-oh, home state. So you will have to make a statement for your home state track. On our last interview, Carlos Henriquez said he sees himself in the podium, so it should be a good race between both you guys battling. I look forward to seeing it. And how do you plan on spending your holidays with Christmas coming up in a few days?
I will be with the wife and kids. We got another day of work to put in, and just enjoying that family time while we can get it. Time is precious.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So phenomenal race from you tonight. A great win, first win, and I look forward to seeing many more wins from you, as well as racing you in the truck series as well. So phenomenal race, and and there you have it, guys. That is our race winner, JJ McCoy. You
Thank you,
have a nice
Mr.
one.
Slade. You too, sir.
All right, guys, that will do it. Very hectic race and our drunk driver awareness 100. Um, Shout out to all the drivers who came out and participated. Very, very exciting race. This is week 3 down. Next week we will be at Bristol Motor Speedway, which will be another heaping tough race for these drivers. Another short track. Uh, Grip wise, it's going to be better than this track, but expect kind of more cleaner racing this week or for next week, guys. Very phenomenal race. Again, I want to end tonight's race in honor of Nolan, and the hashtag Nolan Strong. And this race would not be possible for Nolan, and we send our deepest condolences with the to the Nolan family as well as the Adam Thompson family as well. So we definitely want to make sure that we elaborate on that. Um, Tonight, everyone race responsibly. And one message I want to leave everybody with before we sign out tonight at Global Racing. Please drink responsibly, guys, and just remember, when you get behind the wheel, you're not only affecting your life but the other people around you. So, from Global Racing League, we want to wish you guys a good night. We will see you guys next Thursday at Bristol Motor Speedway, and be prepared for some good racing. And it's not going to be as hectic as this week. And good luck. Be safe. Enjoy your holidays. And we are going to sign out.